Hi, welcome back to the Severed Floor. This is the review slash recap for episode 4, Woe's Hollow. Let's get into it. The episode starts out with Irving in the middle of this giant frozen lake. It reminds me a lot of the episode with Mrs. Selvig when she's in her car in the middle of that kind of tundra thing. Mark's up on the cliff and Irving makes his way over to him, finds Helly and Dylan along the way, and so the whole team is there. They find this TV that's powered by snow, apparently, with a DVD of Milchek telling them that they're in Kier National Forest and that they're on a team building retreat. Dylan asks like a question. Milchek answers almost in real time in the DVD, so I think it's actually just a TV screen showing them some kind of camera feed. And then instead of doing the normal credits sequence like we see, it's just the title, Severance. So I don't know if that's a clue or something. I want to say the season premiere also just had the title, not an intro sequence. They start seeing these weird figures of themselves that are pointing the way to Scissor Cave, which is where Milchek directs them to find whatever is next with this team building. When they find Scissor Cave, inside is the fourth appendix of Kier, which is this book that has stories about Kier, tells the tale of him and his twin brother Dieter. Inside is a map to Woe's Hollow, which is, of course, the episode title. Since it's mentioning that it's his twin brother, they kind of figure out that must be what's with the figures that are directing them there that almost look like twins or animatronics of themselves. As they're walking to Woe's Hollow, following the map that they found inside the fourth appendix, Irving's just kind of watching Mark and Helly. He seems suspicious, like, of their kind of flirty behavior that's happening. And then eventually they make it to this river or creek and there's a frozen seal, which is weird, but Irving goes off and it's like, we need to eat it. We're going to starve to death out here and all this. And he kind of seems like he's losing it or a little unhinged. Then Milchek pops out of the woods and tells them that this is the tallest waterfall in the world at Woe's Hollow, which I guess for the innies, they wouldn't know the difference. He also lets them know this is sacred ground. Something else I noticed is that the way that they're all dressed, they almost seem like sheep, like Milchek's the shepherd. Milchek leads them to this campground provided by Lumen where there's food and tents and warmth and fire. He tells them the tents are in MDR blue, which I don't know if there's significance to that. And then Milchek makes this big show about giving them torches for light and warmth. And he starts reading from the appendix, but Helly makes fun of the story, like she starts laughing at the story, and then they're all laughing at the story. And of course, Milchek doesn't find that funny. He says this is serious and everything like that. And so he has Miss Wong throw their, celebratory marshmallows or team building marshmallows into the fire and is like, there's consequences for your actions. After Milchek leaves, Irving's still kind of like poking at Helly about the overtime contingency. He seems like he's suspicious of her, or he doesn't believe her story about what happened out there. After that, Mark and Helly actually get it on in her tent, and he asks her about the overtime contingency too. She doesn't tell him, but they go back to it, and then her face starts switching back and forth between his wife or Miss Casey. And so that's, I would think, a nod to the intro scene where the elevator last clip has the elevator of Miss Casey switching faces or bodies back and forth. As they're doing that, Irving wanders off into the forest. He gets lost. He drops his torch. He sits down to freeze to death, I guess. And then he has this weird hallucination / dream of Bert. They're at MDR and he looks over and there's this ghoulish lady from the appendix story, and then she jump scares him awake. Mark and Dylan wake up, discover that Helly and Irving aren't in the camp. They wake Milchek up to go looking for them. As this is happening, Irving is confronting Helly in the forest. He wakes up from his half-frozen dream and finds her by the creek. He starts trying to drown her, and then when Mark, Dylan, and Milchek find them, he's yelling, turn her back, turn her back. During the half drowning that he's trying to do, Irving finally says that he's doing this because she's not herself, she's an Egan. As she's right about to drown, then Milchek radios in to remove the Glasgow block, and she switches back to being Helly. After she switches back to Helly, not Helena Egan, she's comforted by Irving and then Mark that goes down there. Milchek says, of course, he's immediately terminated, so he has him stand up. There is no forgiveness. This is sacred ground, and you tried to kill an Egan on sacred ground kind of thing. And then as Irving is getting ready to be terminated, or his innie terminated, he looks over at Dylan and is like, remember, just hang in there. And it's kind of, I think it's a clue or something, because that's the last thing he says to him. Irving's innie is then terminated. The last thing Milchek says to him is, may Kier's mercy follow you into the eternal dark. And then the episode ends in black. Thanks again for watching. If you like that, I'm going to be doing episode 5 next. You can share, like, subscribe, and leave your theories and conspiracies below.